Awakening. Chapter 3. Butterflies and Hurricanes. Non-existence seems like such a dreadful thing until you are actually experiencing it. We cling to existential concepts, fearing the cold darkness of an eternal abyss, hearing only silence, seeing only black. Being nothing, however, is not black. It is gray, much like a September fog. The peace and calm in the cold, damp mist isn't so bad, but the loneliness is. I am alone, sitting on a park bench, staring out into cloudy nothingness. Something lies beyond, I can feel it, waiting to emerge from behind the evanescent veil. A crack in the rotten wood pokes my leg uncomfortably. I remember that I have a leg. A brisk morning breeze makes me shiver, and I long for someone to hold. Alice leans up against me. Her warmth makes me feel better. The cold is gone. The loneliness is gone. Her head rests on my shoulder, completely at ease. She is the perfect height for that, as if my shoulder were designed specifically for her tired head. It's funny how little details can assure you of the important things. She appears almost ghost-like, as if she isn't really there at all, at least not completely there. It's hard to pinpoint why. It's more of a feeling. Her boundaries are blurred, and I wonder if a strong gust might blow her into wisps along the wind. It would be an exhilarating flight, as the rolling mist withdraws, revealing a large bluff a few feet in front of us. It outlines a giant meadow of purple and gold wildflowers. Their sweet, calming scent is potent even from atop the ridge, which stands at least 100 feet tall. My brain, always the scientist, imagines a giant glacier cutting a perfectly flat slice of earth, birthing this field into existence millions of years ago. The fog continues to recede into nothingness. Far beyond the plain, just before the horizon, a slow-moving river flows silently. A row of giant trees with fresh springtime leaves line the river like sentinels as far as the eye can see. The beautiful flowers below us dance with the breeze. My eyes sway back and forth lazily in time with the flourishing blooms. I feel a strange connectedness with everything, as if I can see, even feel, the earth breathing before me. There's a sense of familiarity, like I've been here before. A sudden epiphany explains my déjà vu, as I remember Alice and I had once visited this exact spot on a date only a few nights before we left home for college. We were just kids then, and had been dating only a few months. Even in those early stages, we knew we had stumbled into a special type of bond. Love, I suppose, but a single word just didn't seem to do the feeling justice. We had something we were afraid to lose, and we were anxious because of the uncertainty ahead of us. We were leaving home, and our lives were about to change. What did that mean for us? It was too early then to have the confidence in each other we've since built. We always find a way to make it, no matter what. We know that, now. I took her there to watch the sunset, as the beautiful scenery seemed like a romantic place for a date. Unfortunately, in my boyish ignorance, I didn't realize the bluff overlooked the field to the east. In the end, we still fully enjoyed the evening, and didn't even watch the sun as it set behind us, sending our intertwined silhouettes cascading over the flowery valley below. This time, it is dawn, and just as I realize this, the tip of a large glowing circle ascends above the river beyond. "It's beautiful," Alice murmurs with appreciation. Her face is unchanging, as if she isn't speaking at all, but I can hear her words as clear as day. "Yes, it is," I agree, and I rub her shoulder as if to say, "Not as beautiful as you," but I'm not one to verbalize such obnoxiously charming cliches. Still, That's how I honestly feel, even if I can't bring myself to say it out loud. We sit there together in each other's arms, in love, and watch the sun rise slowly above the field. The golden hues begin to overtake the purple. "Are you afraid?" Alice asks me directly, once again, without moving her lips. "Of what?" I ask, not sure what to make of her question. "You know," she responds cryptically, but with certainty. I look out over the field at the sunrise, taking a moment to genuinely introspect. "Of graduating?" I ask, unsure. She doesn't respond, but I can sense in the silence that my answer hasn't satisfied her. The flowers below us lighten as the shadows of the tree lines shrink before the rising sun, revealing the true and brilliant brightness of the meadow. Of what's next? Her head still rests on my shoulder, but I can feel her cheeks swell with her contagious smile. She remains quiet, but the calm, wordless air feels different than before. Instead of "wrong answer," it soundlessly encourages me. Go on. I suppose I am afraid. My gaze doesn't break from the shrinking ball of light that flees further into the heavens. It's like my whole life has been meant for this one purpose, this one goal, graduating college. I guess I'm not sure I've ever really stopped and considered what life is actually supposed to look like after that. She lifts her head from my shoulder. I turn to her, and our eyes meet. Her presence is more solid now, more real. She repeats her original question. "Are you afraid?" "No," I answer automatically, without realizing my answer has changed. Her knowing smirk rouses a question from me. Why not? The self-probing thought spills from my mouth as soon as it enters my mind. "You know," she repeats once again. A warm and pleasing chill spreads through my body and causes my hair to stand on end as I realize. Because I have you. She calmly puts her head back on my shoulder and looks out over the horizon. "Yes," she approves simply, "and I have you." "I know," I say with the best kind of confidence. Time continues to pass in a mysteriously unquantifiable way until it is interrupted by a fluttering of feathers. A snow owl perches on the bench beside me just beyond arm's reach to my left. Alice, who is normally afraid of birds, doesn't flinch or even seem to notice, and continues to rest peacefully on my right shoulder. The uninvited guest looks at me inquisitively, turning its head completely to the side, like a curious pup. It gazes into me through dark blue eyes, with narrow black vertical slits at the center. Very unlike how I'd expect an owl's to look. As soon as this thought occurs, the pupils widen into large orbs, and any apprehension about the obscurity is forgotten. A bright reflection of the sun contrasts sharply in the blackness of its pupils. "I didn't think you guys came out in the daytime," I say playfully, extending my hand to say hello. The bird leans toward me, and just as I'm about to scratch the furry white scruff around its neck, there is a loud hiss and a chaotic commotion. A thin black cat with jade eyes springs forward from its unknown hiding spot. It positions itself between us with a powerful pose, baring its thin teeth, ears lying flat against the back of its head. It claws furiously at the bird as if it were a menacing panther. The owl jumps back, its wings outstretched, narrowly dodging a fierce swat from the cat. Clearly wanting no part in this melee, the strange avian visitor takes flight and glides majestically over the field below. My eyes stay fixed on the bird as it flies toward the sun. The snowy white outline darkens with each passing moment, and eventually turns jet black as the shrinking silhouette is completely surrounded by the bright ball of light before it. Then, something quite unexpected happens. With a strong and sudden flap of its wings and a firm grip of its talons, the bird stops and lands directly on top of the sun, as if it were a tree limb or a window ledge. That can't be. My mind scrambles to process what my eyes are witnessing. The snow-white owl is no longer an owl at all, but a slender black raven. It still has the same deep blue eyes, which I can feel staring into me from its perch atop the sun. The bird caws loudly and proceeds to peck at the ball of light upon which it rests. I feel the wind against my face suddenly change direction and drop at least 20 degrees. Far below us, I see the rows of flowers begin to jerk rapidly and erratically, absent of all the cohesion I had felt before. The raven leaps from its impossible perch and flies away. Just as it does so, the sun begins to fall, crashing toward the eastern horizon. Shadows stretch and grow across the field until no color can be seen. The flowers shrivel and die as they are shrouded in darkness, leaving a barren wasteland where the meadow once lay. I can see my panicked breath misting before my eyes in the freezing cold, just as the ground beneath us begins to quake. Alice, seemingly just realizing anything at all has occurred, grabs my arm. "Blaine, what's happening?" she cries. Before I can answer, the facade of the bluff crumbles into dust. The bench drops from beneath us and plummets toward the earth. It ricochets violently several times before crashing and shattering onto jagged rocks 100 feet below. In that instant, Alice had managed to roll off of the bench and now lays prone atop the edge of a cliff. I, not faring as well, dangle from that edge. A desperate and reflexive grab of a stray root, which extends from the crumbling earth, saved me from the same fate as the bench. "Blaine!" she screams, terrified. "It's okay," I say as calmly as I can, trying to reassure her, but doubting my own words seriously. She leans over the edge, straining and stretching to help, to no avail. The root I'm clinging to is about 5 feet from the top. It is an agonizingly short distance, but still impossible for her to reach. So close, yet so far, my brain mocks. My feet scrape against the loose clay as I fail to find a foothold. A warm tear falls from Alice's eyes and lands on my forehead. "It's going to be okay," I repeat. "Blaine, I'm afraid," she continues to sob. I look upward and see true fear in Alice's eyes for the first time in my life. This sight awakens a desperate strength inside me. I can't let her down. I wedge my elbows into the dirt, and my weight is redistributed away from my aching fingers. I kick with all my might and feel my shoe plunge through the earth in front of me. I got this, I think to myself. I have to have this. Alice leans as far as she can, reaching for me. I see loose dirt crumbling from the edge, and I instinctively yell, "Get back! Be careful!" "I can't lose you!" she screams, still bawling. I push down with my toe onto the small ledge I had kicked out of the facade, testing its strength. I feel it start to give, which shakes my faith, but I'm out of options. "I'm going to try to jump to the ledge," I call up to her. "You stay back. If I'm able to grab the edge, you can help me, but don't you dare put yourself in danger." "I'm not going to let you fall." "Who said anything about falling?" I wink at her with false bravado. "I got this. Piece of cake." She hesitantly shuffles back a few inches from the ledge, remaining on all fours, ready to pounce to my aid. I am very familiar with Isaac Newton's third law. If I could exert enough force against all of the points of contact, I might just get enough equal and opposite. Enough thinking. Just fucking do it, the reckless part of my brain demands. And without bothering to do anything dramatic, like counting to 3, I jump. I drive down on the crumbling ledge with all my lower body strength, launching myself upwards. In the same fraction of a second, I push from my wedged elbows and pull from the stray root. This coordinated set of movements would be difficult for a trained rock climber, but I'm somehow able to make it work. For a moment, I think I might make it. But just as the edge appears to be within reach, the world around me slows to a stop and then begins to rewind. My approaching salvation, so close now, begins departing. Against my instructions, Alice springs forward and grasps wildly for my hand. Her fingertips brush mine, and I feel her touch one last time. Somehow, as I plummet toward my demise, I am able to grab the same root. I have a less sturdy grip on it this time. It won't be long now. "Blaine! Don't be afraid." I pant the words between adrenaline-fueled gasps for air. "Everything is going to be fine," I lie. "Don't leave me. Please don't leave me," she screams hysterically. "I'm pregnant." For a brief moment, our gazes meet. The world freezes, and all is silent. I can feel my heart breaking inside my chest. "I know," I whisper, but Alice can hear it clearly. It is the only sound in the world. At the same time, a raven with deep blue eyes lands on the root beside my hand. It looks into me, and I feel it considering its options, deciding my fate. The pupils centering its icy stare have returned to vertical slits, and I feel an impending sense of doom as my stomach drops to my toes. The bird, having clearly made its decision, caws and pecks wildly at my fingers. With a sharp burst of pain, my hand can't help but loosen, and I am falling once again. "Blaine, no!" she screams. "Don't leave me!" With every ounce of my being, I wish I could obey her. As my body falls, and I feel a soul-numbing weightlessness. I hear a faint whisper in my ear. Blaine, wake up. The voice of an old friend calls to me just as I awaken from my dream. My body convulses on my bed. What's going on? Alice groans foggily from my side. Nothing, just had a falling dream, I explained through panted breaths, my head spinning with unexplainable panic. Sounds like that was quite the dream. What was it about? She asks without opening her eyes, still on the fringe of sleep. It was weird, very vivid, I say more calmly. I feel like you don't usually remember your dreams. I don't dream, I answer simply, realizing this is no longer an accurate statement. I think you do. You're always twitching in your sleep. Sometimes you even mumble. She laughs and begins to mimic noises I have allegedly made. Maybe, I agree, knowing that I often wake myself up with turbulent spasms and the sensation of falling. Normally, I don't have any memories of what caused it. This was different, I say distantly, not quite able to process what I had experienced. Well, hurry up and tell me about it before it slips away. She finally opens her greenish-gray eyes and turns to me with interest. I understand what she means, as even now it's hard to recall all of the details. You were in it. Ooh, she teases, flaring her eyebrows flirtatiously. Not like that, I laugh. It was the date we had at Fallen Timbers Bluff, before we left for college. Oh, I remember that. It was a nice evening. It was, but this time it was morning. Everything was great, and then this bird came. Ugh, I hate birds, she interjects. I know you do, I smile and continue. But Salem scared it away. Aw, good boy, Salem, she coos. Then the bird landed on the sun, and everything went crazy. Landed on the sun? That's pretty trippy. Yeah, it was. Then the sun fell out of the sky, and the ground crumbled beneath us. After that, I just fell and woke up. I intentionally leave out the part where she told me she was pregnant. She makes an approving nod. Yeah, I guess that is a pretty weird dream. Think it means anything? Nah, I don't think dreams mean much. They're just random thoughts being flushed from our brain or something like that. Alice rolls over with a barely audible giggle, shutting her eyes once more. I slip out of bed and turn off my alarm clock. It is 4:29 in the morning, 1 minute before it was set to go off. This happens fairly regularly, as my body always seems to know when I need to get up subconsciously. There's probably some bad anxiety-related conclusions you can draw from that. With graduation only a few weeks away, I don't have time to worry about such things. I flip on the $5 lamp that rests atop the filing cabinet next to my bed, which is multitasking as a nightstand. Alice shrieks, turns over, and looks at me through squinting eyes. Why are you turning on the light? It's 4:30 in the morning. I'm heading out in a few minutes, I say as I throw on a dirty pair of jeans. Where on earth could you have to go at this hour? She questions, suddenly awake. It's Turner. He's in town and he just wants to meet up. Shouldn't take long. Can it wait? Why would he want to meet now? She asks, confused. Trust me, I'm not thrilled about this either. He called last night and was adamant that we meet up immediately. Why? She presses further, now sounding worried. I wish I knew, I explain, reminding myself of the hazy memories as I speak. He called me in the middle of the night and sounded pretty shook up. He insisted we meet as soon as he gets to Columbus. Alice's eyes widen. You don't think he's in trouble, do you? I have no idea, I say honestly, throwing on a t-shirt. I stumble into my bathroom and splash some cold water on my face to wake myself up, a trick I had often employed during late nights of studying. I look in the mirror and make a futile attempt to arrange my untamable hair in some sort of presentable way. I run my hand through an unkempt beard, which is as long as I've ever let it grow out. My greenish-gray eyes, which match Alice's perfectly, look puffy from lack of sleep. I always thought it was cool that Alice and I had the same unique eye color. The bridge where Turner wants to meet is about 15 minutes away on foot, so I don't have time to spare. Knowing this, I don't even bother brushing my teeth as I make my way toward the door. You go ahead and fall back asleep. I'll try to pretend I'm not jealous. I smile at Alice. Her small 5-foot frame is still tangled in my sheets. She looks at me from my bed. A t-shirt? It's going to be pretty chilly out there this early. Think you should grab a jacket? Yeah, you're probably right, I agree, and put on my only jacket, which had been discarded haphazardly atop my couch. Love you, I call as I open the apartment door. Love you too, she returns, rewrapping herself in my navy blue comforter. I shut the door behind me and take a deep breath. One conversation down. She has no idea I know. It was easier to keep the secret than I thought. The darkness of pre-dawn has a very different aura than that of post-dusk. The world looks identical at midnight and 5 a.m., but it feels entirely different. There is a tangible freshness to the morning air that contrasts from the depleted staleness of night. The day hasn't quite reached its time of ripening. I am the only soul imposing on this street in its private hour, and an unwelcome blast of cold air shuns me accordingly. I am thankful Alice convinced me to wear a jacket. My stride is determined as I hurry down the deserted street. A college town at 4:30 in the morning on a Saturday is about as populated as the upper half of Mount Everest. Unless, of course, there's a home football game that day. This is an Ohio Saturday in spring, and football games are but a memory this year. However, the ghost of the sport always lingers in this town, and evidence of its eternal presence can be seen in every scarlet and gray shop window along the lane. There's a part of me that will miss this place when I graduate, but then again, there's a part of me that is ready to leave. The dull glare of reflected street lamps follow me in the recurring panes of glass as I traverse the uneven sidewalk. On the other side of the street, the menacing profile of our school's gigantic stadium stays constant. It stands out prominently even in the darkness. An occasional restaurant interrupts the stream of apparel advertisements, but all of the establishments are empty and lifeless. The morning is quiet except for the electrical buzzing of the street lamps towering over my head. A loud crashing noise from my left causes me to jump about 3 feet to my right. A frightened squirrel darts from a trash can, and I see another glass bottle teeter and fall from atop the heap. I feel myself breathing hard and realize that I'm very much on edge. Come on, Blaine, what are you afraid of? I think to myself. But I can't help feeling unsettled by the eerie, barren street. After a few blocks, the shops have disappeared and I come to the entrance of the bike path. A dirty old Honda Civic is pulled off to the side of the road, one tire resting atop the curb. I put my hand on the hood. It's hot to the touch. Nice parking, Turner, I sigh to myself. I look to my right and see the path descending into the woods by the river. Outside the radius of the street lamp's reach, the darkness grows even thicker. I find it unexpectedly hard to step forward. Come on now, you're not afraid of the dark, my brain teases, but my racing heart disagrees. I'm not afraid of the dark, I encourage myself aloud, but I am afraid of what's about to happen. I'm not sure why. Awakening will resume next Saturday, May 9th, with Chapter 4, Ruled by Secrecy. Hello everyone! Thank you so much for listening to my story, Awakening. I hope you're enjoying it. Reading my words aloud has been a new practice I've implemented into my writing process, and a friend of mine suggested that, since I'm going through the trouble of reading it aloud anyway, I might as well press record and share with anyone who wants to listen. Recording myself reading has been a very nerve-wracking experience. I am especially nervous to do character dialogue. But the first chapter seemed to be well received, so my plan is to continue releasing one chapter a week for the foreseeable future. I do have aspirations and dreams of someday getting Awakening published, and I know a big part of getting published in the year 2020 is showing you have a base or a platform. So maybe YouTube could be my way of building just such a thing. If you have enjoyed the story, please like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you will know when I post the next chapter. I also love to hear from people who have read, or in this case listened, to my story, so please feel encouraged to reach out to me via any of the social media platforms that you should see on your screen now if you have any thoughts, questions, or encouragement. Thank you so much again for reading, or listening, and I'll see you next week.